So measurement for CMT and partial vehicle and object.
So you'll probably be covering this, but if you're curing, theoretically, a chemical addiction or a physical addiction like smoking, does anything need to be done in addition to what you're doing? Because obviously if they've still got that addiction to cigarettes.
Addiction to smoking is purely psychological. The so-called physical addiction is out your body in a matter of, it starts in hours.
Is it?
Whatever. Heroin addiction is more physical. Although there is also psychological underlying reasons. My personal advice is, if you wanted to treat someone in terms of severe alcoholism or drug dependency, don't.
Okay.
Not without first studying in depth things like the risk assessment side of stuff and interaction with doctors and blah blah blah. That's a totally different level.
Yeah.
Refer them to make money in this business. The biggest market is stopping smoking, weight loss and confidence issues, and confidence encompasses passing your driving test, exam nerves, public speaking, it covers shed loads of things. And they're all as simple as what we did this morning. Why bother with the heavy end stuff?
You don't need to.
This will give you a nice lifestyle in terms of minimal effort advertising, because there is already a big demand for it. Where are we going?
A while back, I hypnotized my sister-in-law using the seesaw method. And when I had her, you know, after I had her imagine the hands, one hand going up, one hand going down, open your eyes, and she actually said, "Wow," when she opened her eyes, and I told her, close her eyes and sleep, and then she went way down. So she said she couldn't move. So, but I think that would be a good convincer.
It can be. It really doesn't matter what the convincer is, as long as they have something that they see or feel that makes them think, well, they said this would happen, and it has just happened. And I find to be more reliable is like following the thumb.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's only a tiny fraction. You haven't said how much more it's going to be. It doesn't matter if it could be that they're actually in the same bloody position, but in their own head, their eyes might just look at a different point. There's so many ways that they can experience a change with that, as opposed to. You can do what you just said, however, the whole point of the seesaw is not to actually get them to open their eyes. You give the impression you're going to do, and then you don't. Just like giving the impression here, you're going to tap on the head, but you don't, you just seem to knock their arms off. So that you're getting the shock thing of the unexpected. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with, essentially, because if you feel comfortable with it, you're going to project that intent on the person. Right, before I move forward to explaining what I call CMT, which is essentially what we did this morning, except I also mentioned the magic rulers bit, and also teaching the fast phobia cure, because complete mind therapy is great for smoking, weight loss, confidence issues, sleep issues, blah blah blah, stress, and all those options. It's alright, I know people that have used it, including myself, just for phobias, but I do tend to add in the stereotypical fast phobia cure, that'll teach it. And then if you should find yourself on a radio show or something where you're not allowed to hypnotise people on air, the objects method, which I'll end the day on, would be what I'd use when you're not allowed to get them to close their eyes and apparently hypnotise them because people, oh my god. But that's what the law says, so we have to go with it. Well, it does in England anyway.
Well, in rush hour, if you're... I hate it when they play like the sound of an ambulance on the radio, like in a commercial during rush hour.
Well, there's a suggestion, yeah.
Yeah, if you're making suggestions
So in terms of where we got up to today, any questions whatsoever? However daft or unrelated they may seem, it doesn't matter. Any questions, or is it making sense?
Making sense.
Yeah? Even, is it starting to, and don't say yes for the sake of it, however daft the question is asking. In terms of where we started off this morning, where I said, well, this might seem like, why the hell am I saying it? To where we are now, has stuff started to fall into place?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Good. So this will make sense. Okay. What I call complete mind therapy, which at the end of the day, none of it is new. I openly admit that in my book, although I've copyrighted the name Complete Mind Therapy. So not the people who've done courses where we can use the name, which you can, because your certificates are on one of those discs. Print them out and use them by all means. The reason I came up with the name Complete Mind Therapy is I didn't want to look like just another hypnotherapist. Because then people have got too many choices. And it could come down to the nature of the art, or it could come down to the nature of them ringing round and finding out what the best price is. I wanted it to be about their booking a specialist, the best person for the job, the best person to cure them with that particular issue they've got, so that therefore money isn't an issue. They may not have that money, but they'll damn sure save it up because in their perception you are the person for this job. So I thought hypnotherapy, which would make you a hypnotherapist. Well, I thought no to that because if you look at the word hypnotherapist, it actually says hypno, the rapist. If ever there was a negative suggestion, that's it. To make matters worse, there's some courses that teach you to be a psychotherapist. Now, yeah, you're ahead of me. Psycho, the rapist? I don't think so. So, you could be an NLP practitioner. NLP practitioner? What then? What does that mean? What's it selling to me that you know some arty-farty technique? God knows. To me, NLP stands for nonsensically long pantomime. In other words, bollocks.
Just shout it really loud.
It does. NLP stands for nonsensically long pantomime. It's completely utter bollocks. So you might call yourself, you know, different name. Big thing the NHS are into is CBT, Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, where you get people to identify and examine what they're thinking when they do certain behaviours, and the more they become aware of the fact that, you know, that they have certain thought processes when they do those behaviours, or behaviours bring up thought processes, the more likely they are to be able to identify when they're about to do that and therefore stop themselves. Or perhaps develop an obsessive compulsive disorder over the fact that they're doing it. Maybe. So, I thought from a marketing point of view and also from the point of view of creating the psychological environment where change can happen more rapidly. And I thought about it long and hard, and I thought of complete mind therapy. Two reasons. The short version is CMT. CMT is remarkably easy to mix up with CBT in terms of people who've heard medical doctors talking about stuff. And the phrase complete mind therapy, or mind, tells you it's not a physical thing. Therapy, well obviously that's identifying the treatment. And the word complete, that's why I found myself on it. Complete implies there is nothing missing. So therefore, the name itself is implying this is better than hypnotherapy, better than NLP or anything else that we've seen advertised, because this is complete. That's why I came up with it. A, because it's a good marketing angle, and B, because it's got an automatic suggestion in there before they even come for the session that nothing's missing. As for what is complete mind therapy, well, it's that 7-step process we talked about before the break. And when it got to the point that said necessary therapy, your course notes will remind you of the order. We do the CMT, which is just a load of techniques that have been around for years upon end. Recently, some people have called them NLP. Years ago, they actually got called creative visualization. Years before that, they were called, well, by one person, called them psycho-cybernetics, and wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Schultz, I can't pronounce it. But if you search the term psycho-cybernetics on Amazon, up comes his book. And this was published like in the 60s. And it's what they're now calling NLP. You go before that, it was called suggestive therapeutics, before it got called hypnotherapy. Prior to that, it was called mesmerism. None of it's new. None of the elements are new. The only thing that's new is the way it's been repackaged to sell courses and brainwashing. However, the order in which I put them together into one sort of running order, shall we say, was new at the time. And the order for that is TV set, magic rulers, which we didn't use this morning because we didn't need to, given the context, but generally for the magic rulers. Then the mirror, then the ring of confidence, and every now and again, it doesn't really matter where, it could be in between each of those sections, but every now and again in between some of them, and near the end, we use so-called direct suggestions. And then after that running order of stuff, we awake, major post-hypnotic about the CD, and awaken them from trance. So, what are each of these samples? Now, we saw them all this morning, except for the magic rulers. So, most of this should be pretty self-explanatory. The TV set is to get rid of the past. The mirror is for the future. As is the ring of confidence, that's for the future. And the magic rulers are for the future. Because all the sessions you do, the only difference may be phobias, and we'll come to that last. But smoking, weight loss, anything, is going to be about leaving behind a certain behaviour pattern and instilling a new one. Or instilling a new one to overrule the lack of doing something, so that they become more confident where they were before. Does that make sense? It's the opposite we spoke about before. So, in all cases, they're going to have a behaviour pattern or an issue, or something that they're not doing, e.g. if they currently see themselves as not confident enough to do the public speaking. There's going to be something that's the negative thing, right? Which we're going to get them to visualise on the TV set. And the moment we talk about this, whenever we bring up the TV set, now there is a word-for-word script, and I'll come to that later. So I should put that there. Because the script is your key to success. I'll tell you why shortly. It's your key to not spending 3 weeks, a month, a year, or 2 years having to learn this. But the TV says to get rid of the past. Whenever we're talking about the past, which we always talk about it, from the moment they walk through the door of the session, we talk about it as if it's exactly that, the past. It doesn't exist anymore. So tell me, what was it that used to bother you? Now they may turn around and go, well, it's this that bothers me. But you always respond and go, no. So how did it used to feel? You're always talking in the past tense, which in itself is a suggestion that the moment they've entered the therapy room, it's gone. So we start with the TV set. See an image of yourself as you once were in the past. Think back to what I said. And don't worry, in about a week's time, if you want, once these are transferred onto disk, they'll fit on about 2 discs in MPEG format, I can arrange to send you a copy of the disc if you want, so your actual refresher notes, aside from the ones you've got, can be what we spoke about today. So the TV set is a case of imagine yourself on as you once were in the past. When this thing used to bother you, implying it doesn't anymore. And also the idea of getting them to see on the TV set is that if it's something that had some sort of emotional connection that was perhaps negative, it's like they're watching it as a third party, so they don't have to get mega upset about it.
Now if it's something like they want to increase confidence for public speaking, as an example.
See yourself as you once were in the past, when you would have made every excuse under the sun to avoid making that speech, when you'd have been trembling inside. See yourself as you once were. There's always something that they were either doing that they didn't want to do, or they weren't doing that they wanted to do, that you can get them to see as the past behaviour.
See, that's what I was trying to get at. If it's something that they're currently not doing, how do you get them to visualise that into, you know, and if they don't like public speaking, what would you be trying to get them to visualise?
Well, in the past, that means, till then, clearly that means that they don't like it, which they've done everything they can to avoid it, which means the idea of it scared them. So see yourself as you once were in the past when it used to bother you, when you'd make any excuse under the sun to avoid doing it, when you'd feel nervous.
So you'd say however many general statements, so that one of them would click in with them.
In a way that feels right for you. Oh yeah, I always use that phrase, in a way that feels right for you. So a smoker would be seeing themselves smoking the most they've ever done. You know, a weight loss client would be seeing themselves eating the wrong things, not doing enough exercise. Whatever, that's the key phrase, in a way that feels right for you. You think back, you'll realise I did use all these phrases this morning. I'm not just telling you this works, I've shown you it's what I do, more importantly. So that's the idea behind the TV set. Now we want them to take a sense of control over things. That's the metaphor. That's why we said metaphors before. To take control. Because someone who's got self-confidence, willpower, self-esteem and self-image, feels good about the way they feel, feels good about the way they look, feels confident, has got willpower, will feel in control. Someone who feels they need some help to achieve something will feel in some manner out of control. So the metaphor is to give them control. And that is why they're going to go to the controls on the television set. And they're going to turn down the volume. And as the sound disappears, gone completely. In hypnosis, in suggestion, class that as an embedded command, the subliminal command. I've said the sound has gone completely, but the apparent suggestion apparently is that the person's problem has gone completely. Then turn down the brightness and the contrast and see that image fade away, that once bothered you in the past, gone completely. And if there's any other controls there, because you don't know what type of television set will be imagined, it could have a million controls, or they might be seeing a remote control. You don't know, but you don't need to. If there's any other controls, now's the time to turn them all down completely, so it's gone. Does that make sense if you think back to what I did, yeah? But it may still have power, so turn off the power switch. It may have power, it's a metaphor that it might concern in the future. It's all about, so turn off the power, so it can't bother you, worry you or concern you as it once did in the past, implying that it doesn't anymore. And we don't want anyone else to ever be able to come and mess with this or change it. That's empowering them to take control. All the metaphors there. So imagine unplugging it from the wall.
Taking its power.
Taking its power, not taking control. The thing was, without needing to know underlying reasons, Marina actually went, I can't get it unplugged. So I carried on. I just reacted as well, that's fine. If I'd have gone, oh dear, should have thought, this isn't working. There's never any failure. Just carry on to the next bit. Well, that's fine. Because normally they will unplug it, but if they don't, it doesn't matter. You just go, well, that's fine. In that case, we definitely need to destroy the television. If you can't unplug it, we need to destroy the TV. The truth is that I actually unplugged it, I was still going to get to destroy the TV, because it's a metaphor of getting rid of it once and for all. In a way that feels right for you, you might want to blow it up, you might want to chainsaw it, don't matter. You just guide them and keep going until they say it's destroyed. And more often than not, you'll see a little smile like we did. And whether you do or you don't, when you go, and if you sing that and they nod or whatever, you go, fantastic, notice how good that feels to have taken control of the situation. By giving them control, that means you increase the self-confidence, the willpower, the self-esteem, the self-image. And therefore, by virtue, you're covering those things of feeling love, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, automatically as a knock-on effect. So, does that make sense? We get to describe the telly completely.
Yes. Do you always refer to it by metaphor, or do you ever say directly you're taking control?
Well, I did this morning. I am directly saying that notice how good it feels that you've taken control. But I've just said it in such a passive manner that I'm then on to the next thing that they don't really get any time to analyse it.
Okay.
So the metaphor and the words are both emphasising control, but I'm just doing it in a manner where there's so much going on, and we're on to the next thing that they haven't got time to consciously analyse everything. So therefore, by virtue, the next thing takes over that you get them to visualise, so therefore it gets filed away, which is what we want, which arguably in hypnosis is classed as bypassing the critical faculty of the brain, the analytical area. And they go on about getting the right level of trance. No, just confuse the person. Go on to the next thing, you'll get the same end result. As hopefully we've already demonstrated today. So, television set, get rid of the past, whatever it is. You know, you can do this without even knowing what the person's problem is, because the phraseology can be, rather than see yourself as you once were in the past when you were a smoker, it can be see yourself as you once were in the past with those issues that used to bother you. And the client will fill the gaps in because they know what it is they're dealing with. So you don't even need to know. And here's the clever bit, because of that, even though Marina didn't want to talk about issues, certain issues, the way we did it and the way the CMT session works, because I said the television set effectively represents yourself as you once were in the past, those issues, she'll have attached some of them anyway. And even though she didn't want to talk about them, we've already treated some of them by virtue of the way we did it.
You could use all sorts of different things, I guess, instead of the TVs. I seem to think there's one about putting all your negative stuff in a basket or a hot air balloon
and letting it fly away. You can.
Yeah.
You can. The only reason I like the TV set because it's got that idea of disassociation watching it. So if it is someone with a particularly heavy emotional issue, watching it on a TV screen isn't as bad as being there in the moment. I think that's why I particularly like it. And also it does give you the control metaphor more. Televisions have controls and you're making it happen. So I think it's got a bit more of a metaphor. But ultimately you can make up whatever the hell you like as long as the intent's there. And yes, you can.
Unless people have phobias about TVs than they do about hot air balloons.
That's that. It doesn't matter. Some people might have a phobia of TV. Just as with the deepening process, you know, some people have got fear of stairs to a small level and they're there to stop smoking. So knowing that some people might not like stairs, or they might not like TVs, we don't know. We don't want to waste time. So that's why I always very quickly go, see a TV set, a calm, safe and secure, in a way that feels right for you. They'll do whatever they need to. They might stick it inside a metal cage to make them feel self-safe. It doesn't matter. It's in a way that feels right for them. And we're avoiding the potential to set off an reaction, an emotional episode, because of the fact that they may have had, you know, when we get to the mirror bit, a bit later on, some people really hate looking in mirrors. And we're about to tell them to do so, albeit positively. We don't want to upset them because this is supposed to be the positive bit. Hence, very quickly, the calm, safe and secure, really positive in a way that feels right for you. That's why you heard me say that phrase so much. See, there's a couple of questions.
If it's like I'm thinking of the weight issue, like they, at one point in the past long ago, were skinny, but they've gained. Do you do anything like see yourself as you were gaining weight, or do you just...
No, personally, it's all about getting rid of the negative and still the positive. When you come to the mirror, it's all about the future. The fact they may have been skinny become fat and they want to get skinny again, or their perception thereof. It's irrelevant. See yourself as you once were. Once were will actually be as they are sat in front of you.
Okay.
However, we're talking in that manner so that it's saying to the brain, we're moving forward from that, future pacing, NLP would call it. When we get to the mirror bit, see yourself in the future, the perfect you. If they thought they were the perfect them years ago, they'll choose to see the image like that.
Okay.
If they want to. Or they'll see the image as, but the point is, we're leaving it vague enough for them to fill it in a positive manner.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So that's the TV set, we're getting rid of the past. Now if you've got rid of the past, you need to have a good future, obviously. You need to replace it with something positive. But before we do, it was easy this morning, I didn't use the magic rulers, but normally in a CMT session, as you will see on the DVDs of other client sessions, we use the magic rulers for, how strange, willpower, self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-image. Because I know for a fact, one or more of them will be lacking, whatever the issue, because one or more of them will be causing the feeling of lacking those 7 basic human emotions we talked about earlier. So I want to cover them all. And the visualisation I use for that is, so that let the television set that's destroyed drift off in the mind, remind us of what I said on this DVD, the other DVDs and in the book.
Which DVD are the client sessions on? Which?
I'm doing them live on the London set, so that's the one called Hypnosis and NLP Secrets.
I don't think I've got those. Are they on any of the other discs we
You
got?
have got them. You've got them in that coloured cover.
Oh, no.
It's part of the 5 disc set you've got to do.
It's on that one?
Yeah.
Excellent, okay.
On disc 4 and 5. So that's faded off, and then I'm going, now imagining it in your mind's eye, it's almost as if, and I always use the phrase, it's almost as if. Because then if I was to say to them, you can see a crystal clear image of such and such in your mind, and they don't, they're going to think, this is crap, it's not working. That's why at the beginning I've said, you might see it clearly, you might not. Doesn't matter, whatever's right for you. So there's no failure. That's why I always use that phrase, it's almost as if. Because then whatever they think, see, however clear or bad, or whether it's words from a picture, whether it's black and white in colour, it doesn't matter. It's almost as if allows them to do it in a way that's right for them. It's almost as if you can see a measuring stick in your mind's eye, with numbers on it going from 0 at the bottom to 100 at the top. And this is a measuring stick that shows you all levels of self-confidence, willpower, self-esteem, and self-image. This is the measuring stick that tells you how good you feel about yourself, how positively you think about yourself, how confident you are about yourself and life in general, and how much willpower you've got and determination to achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. And you already know that in the past that's not been at 100%, otherwise we wouldn't be here today to do this wonderful work together. So in your mind's eye, imagine seeing in your mind's eye that measuring stick, and the number's going to be quite low. I don't know, but it's not at 100% yet. And that's where we need it to be. You leave it up to them. They might be seeing it at 80%, they might be seeing it at 0%, they might be seeing it at minus. It really doesn't matter. That's up to them in a way that feels right for you. Now I'd like you to imagine in your mind's eye that it's almost as if you've got a blowtorch, or a candle, or a lighter, or a campfire. It doesn't matter. You've got something to heat up this measuring stick, because it's like a thermometer with mercury. And when you heat up the mercury, it starts to rise and move upwards. And as it moves upwards and rises up in the numbers, as the numbers get higher, it becomes more positive. And it's almost as if in every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, it's almost as if they're being flooded with 100% confidence, willpower, self-esteem, self-image, feeling so good inside, as though you can take on the world and achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. See those numbers rising from 0% to 10, to 15, to 20, 25, 30%. As the numbers rise up, it feels so good inside. 35, 40, 50% rising up more. And the more it rises, the better it feels. 60, 70, 80, 90%. Notice how good that feels inside, how fantastic that feels. And the moment you see it get to 100%, just nod your head. Well, not there, or whatever. If they don't nod their head because they're really flaked out enjoying it, just go, you can tell me, you can talk to me, are you at 100% yet? And they'll go, yeah, or they'll go, not yet. In which case you might have to improvise and go, well, use more heat, turn up the heat. Point is, you just keep going to go, yeah, we're at 100%. At which then your reaction is to go, well, we never want it to drop below that, because you need to keep that 100% level so you can continue forward from this moment forward with all those abilities to achieve X, Y, Z, whatever the issue is becoming. So I want you to imagine in a way that feels right for you. Locking, gluing, welding, cementing or bolting that mercury in place. Some people imagine putting a nail in it. Some people imagine a staple gun. Others imagine gluing a concrete in it. But just imagine fixing it, locking it, gluing, welding it, cementing it in place at 100% so that it can never drop below that in the future in a way that feels right for you. Not your head when you have, whenever they go. Yeah? They're basically saying that they've now visualised locking it there, so they've instructed themselves that they've got these abilities to move forward. And we know that one or more of those is going to reflect on the 7 basic core needs as a human being, so therefore it's going to make them feel better. If they feel better, therefore they'll come to believe this has worked for them. When they believe it's worked for them, the placebo effect kicks in. When the placebo effect kicks in, along with the fact that they believe the whole ritual, then arguably they are cured. That makes sense. That pretty much encapsulates everything we've said today. So, they're the magic rules. And then we get them to imagine, we go, now that it's locked in place, permanently locked, glued, welded, cemented in place, so it can never drop below that, just let the image fade away, into your unconscious mind. Because you can trust false logic, I use it a lot. You can trust your unconscious mind, because just as your unconscious mind ensures that you breathe 24 hours a day, just as your unconscious mind instructs your heart to pump the blood around your body, so you can trust your unconscious mind to make sure that you're reminded that you've got all these abilities whenever you need them. It's false logic. Why is the fact that the way the body's designed got anything to do with the man? But it seems logical. Yeah, there is something. Well, yes, I have always breathe and my blood is going around my body. Yes, it is. Oh, I can trust my unconscious mind. Increases the belief. Increase the belief, and therefore it's more likely to happen because the expectations are in a positive manner. That's false logic being used. So, we've done the magic TV set, got rid of the past. We've done the magic rulers, which are giving them all the abilities they need and filling in the blanks for the future. Then we're going to go to the magic mirror. The magic mirror, it's like a mirror from Alice in Wonderland. It's a mirror that's calm, safe and secure in a way that feels right for you, just in case they don't like looking in the mirror. And when you look in this mirror, you see an image of the perfect you. The perfect you with all the abilities, exactly as you have wanted to be for so long, exactly as you have now become. Have now become. In NLP they call it future pacing. It's a fancy winky wanky term for telling them it's happened and changed. As it has now become, you're implying that that's their new reality. It's like we did with the thumb thing. Does that make sense? Yeah? So see the image of the perfect you. Notice how proud you feel to see the image of the perfect you. A day from now, a week from now, a month from now. And it's like the image changes from a day's time to a week's time, to a month's time, to a year's time. As it flashes forward more and more, notice how much better you feel to know that we still continue with that perfect new lifestyle. They call this future pacing in NLP. Essentially, it's instilling the idea that it's not just going to be for the next week or two. We're going to feel good ages down the line, and in fact, it's going to get better over time. Which is also your fail-safe, because then if it's not going as quickly as they thought, they can think, but yeah, he's already told me it's going to get better and better, so the belief remains now.
So are there people out there in terms of treating people, essentially that will treat them, but on some level they'll only treat them for a set time frame? So that the thing that's got me thinking about this is I know someone who mentioned that they had some hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
It was weight management, was literally what it was for. And he says he goes through his weight management hypnotherapy every 3 months. It lasts about 3 months, he says.
That's a great marketing tool. Some people... gastric band hypnotherapy, I'm not going to talk about today, I've given you a disc with it on. It's a 4-session approach. But as you'll see in the information, that's only because of the health and safety risks associated with people who are in that psychological state of mind. It's not about the suggestions or all this kind of stuff. Generally speaking, everything I do is in one session. And the session is the structure that you've seen this morning that we're explaining now. Anything you see me do with anyone on any of those discs, you'll go, that's the same thing again. That's because it is. It's all I've ever used.
The fact that his treatment only lasts 3 months is
That's
because the therapist has said to him,
of course,
normally lasts around 3
business.
months. Yeah.
Repeat business. Of course it is. That's why some therapists take 6 sessions. They've been brainwashed by the trainer, or they're doing it for the money. I prefer the suggestion it's complete mind therapy, so there's nothing missing, and that it can be done for 99% of issues, with 99% of people within a single session. You can't say 100% of the time, because A, it's a lie, and B, you get done for false advertising. But it's a more positive suggestion, which makes it more likely to work, and they've already bought into this before they come. So yeah, magic mirror. We're seeing it, perfect image, blah 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 blah, reach forward, and it's almost the way your hand starts to melt into the mirror in a positive way. And you can feel those things flooding your body from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, every nerve, fibre, tissue, and muscle. You've heard me this morning, and all day long using key phrases again and again and again. That's not a coincidence. It's because I use them because they say so much in so few words that it leaves it open for their mind. Those key phrases are all on the discs and course notes. Learn them. There's only about a dozen to learn. And then you can just randomly say one at any time and it will sound like you know what you're doing. Even if you are just calling for some thinking time on what to say next, just use one of those random phrases like, the deeper you go, the better you feel, the better you feel. It fills in the gap. As far as they know, that's what's supposed to be going on, so therefore it's right. Yeah? And then walk into the mirror as if you're putting on a protective suit of armour. So as though you're climbing inside a protective suit of armour. There's a good metaphor there. But hey, I'm invincible. I'm protected from the negative of the past without saying anything negative. Because everything's now focused on the future. And you never want that to change. So make sure you're permanently in that positive future. It's up to them. Tape it up, paint it up, concrete it up, zip it up. Now when she said zip, I thought on my feet, I thought zips can come undone. Hence I said, you need to make sure there's a bit of common sense here. You want them to end up with a mental image where it can't come undone. That's the idea, yeah? So that means you've instilled the new future. But to say that everything's now perfect would be a bit misleading and potentially a lie. For some people it will be if they believe in it, but for others they may have more difficulties or slight relapses along the way. They might have the quick half a cigarette before they cough the guts up like the person I had with the radio show. And you don't want them to think, well that means it's failed and then just overrule what you've done and carry on smoking. You want them to think, Burr. So we give them, if you like, this ring of confidence. Now if it's a smoking cessation thing, I'd probably refer to it as a ring of willpower. The willpower to not smoke. The willpower to say, no thank you, I'm a non-smoker, and notice how proud you feel. So the amount of this is common sense based on what we said this morning, based on what Ray said. But that ring of confidence, that ring of willpower, or that ring of relaxation in terms of going to sleep, is to ask them, are you right and left-handed? So it's personal to them. Seems like you're caring. You're giving them a sense of control of the situation. So many layers going on all the time here. Press your finger and thumb together, push it together. It's like, notice those best feelings in your life where you felt fantastic. And just in case they've had a crappy life, and they're going to find it difficult to think of something fantastic, we quickly follow that up with, just like you're inside that magic mirror, notice how good that feels. So you're definitely not going to get any conflict there. Press the finger and thumb together, and this is what we call in NLP anchoring. Anchoring has been a fancy wanky term, and badly trained from us in NLP for classical conditioning, which is what conventional psychology would call it, e.g. Pavlov and his dog in the back. So we're getting conditioned, anchored, call it what you will, associated to this idea that they can press the finger and thumb together and the body will be flooded with those good feelings, so they feel like they've got a security blanket there, if they should ever need it. And we all, if you think back to this morning, I didn't say when you need that, I said if you should ever need that little extra boost. Because the word if implies they probably won't. If you said when, it's implying they probably will, which is negative to everything else you've done. These little key words, because of the way we're conditioned through language, have a totally different psychological connotation. So we give them the ring of confidence.
Can you use sort of, I don't know, have you ever tried to use words as a trigger? So when you hear the word, such a thing, whatever, does that?
I use it on stage all the time. When you hear me say the word bananas, for example, you think the person next to you just shit themselves, they're really stinking. Yeah.
So would you do that in therapy as well?
No. Because what if in an appropriate situation somebody says that key phrase?
Yeah, but if it's all about you feel better, you'll still remain confident when you hear the word Rochdale or whatever. If it gets happening, it's automatically.
In theory, that would be good. Unfortunately, you're technically taking control away from them. Because it could be random people, it could be people they don't even like that say that word. And therefore, it's like someone's then got a power over them at an unconscious level. You want this fully to be about them being fully in control of the situations and the thoughts. Great idea, but it could be somebody they don't like, and this is going to be about them having control. Yeah. And the only other element is direct suggestions. So in terms of this morning, and that was just throwing in the odd line like, you know, when your head touches the pillow, you'll just know that you want to close your eyes and go to sleep. It feels so good.
And those direct suggestions come after the ring.
Well, you can throw them in now and again. You know, I've probably said it a few times this morning. You know, I might have said it after the TV set, but definitely right at the end to reinforce it. So it's happened a couple of times.
And with the smoking, as an example.
With smoking, they used to smoke. Remember, when they walk in the door, they're a non-smoker. So they used to smoke, so it'd be things like, oh, notice how good it feels that you no longer need, won't crave or desire for cigarettes or tobacco in any way, shape or form. Notice how good it feels and how proud you feel in your mind's eye that you can now say, no thank you, I'm a non-smoker. You know, for weight loss it might be, notice how good it feels that from this moment forward you no longer need, won't crave or desire for sugary or fatty foods. Notice how proud you feel inside to have that newfound motivation to do more exercise.
And do you need to add anything? You mentioned earlier on about the lady you treated over the radio, who only had a cigarette, it tasted horrible. Was that suggestion in the hypnosis where you said,
yeah,
if you try and smoke?
By choice, I did, because that was like neck of my mind.
And do you think it's necessary to do that?
If they've got a big enough motivation, if they come and pay me money, no.
Okay.
In that context, I'm just trying to stack the law of averages in my favour. So at the very least, even if she started smoking, she would likely have said, tasted crap law for a while, and I could blame it on her, which we'll come to in a minute, there's never any failure. I'm not giving you a get-out clause yet. You're always going to be successful using this approach, and that's the key. It's just that I never like to fail, so I'll make sure I'm always a winner. So the direct Then we implant the major post-hypnotic suggestion, like we said before, on the 7-step plan, which you'll see on your notes, which is that whenever you listen to the audio CD that I'll give you, it'll be just as effective as if I was there in the room with you. In fact, it'll be 100 times more effective. Now, I didn't with Marina because, to be honest, she will have a good night's sleep tonight. Guaranteed. It's a lot easier than getting someone off cigarettes. That was. If it had been smoking, well, I've just said, and you'll feel that you've got this overwhelming desire to listen to the audio CD that I give you once every other day for the next 28 days. The psychological logic behind this is that the general calendar month is 28 days. The lunar cycle is 28 days. Experiments have shown that if you stick a load of women in the prison together, under the same regime, same lighting conditions, etc., that within a few weeks they will all fall into a pattern where they all menstruate at the same time, once every 28 days, when you get back to nature. Psychologically, a habit fully becomes a habit only after 28 days, a full month. So, arguably, if you believe that and studies show that to be true, I'm not saying it is, but let's imagine it is for a minute, then arguably, logically, it would take a full 28 days for something to become habit that was the opposite. So we want the focus to be on it, but in a positive sense, for 28 days. We also want to always be the winner. Now the CD, all of which you've got a copy of, it says 17 on it, it's the audio CD. That's a great learning aid for you guys, because if you listen to it, you will hear word for word, voice tone for voice tone, in the order that I've told you just now, what I call a CMT session. So you'll be able to refresh yourself in the running order, you'll hear the voice tones I use, it's great for learning from. There's also a script on one of the discs for it, so you can read it as you're listening to it, so you get to learn it. And it's worded far better than my improvisation now, in terms of so-called psychological wording, if you believe any of that is relevant. If you do, just get them to close their eyes, take the script out, read it, and put it away. Why not? You could. But the CD, which you can record when using the script to give them at the end, will act as a focus point for them. It removes blame for them. If they have a little bit of a relapse and have half a cigarette, and you go, I better listen to that CD. It's like, it's almost not my fault. The full 28 days isn't up yet. That's a reminder, it's another kick up the arse. And here's what will happen. Nobody that I'm aware of ever listens to the CD every other day for the next 28 days. They don't believe they chew it up. They'll lose it, or life is too hectic. Or they'll spill coffee on it. It just doesn't happen. Or maybe the ones that never ring you do listen to it, and it's acted as positive reinforcement. But if you occasionally get someone ringing, I've had it happen just every now and again, and they go, for like 2.5 weeks, start smoking again. I think, oh right. They usually escape you. You go, Obviously they can't see you doing it, because I'm doing the voice tones for me. You go, I think I know what's happened here then. So when did you last listen to the CD? And just await the deafening silence. Or the rapid, see, there's been so much going on. There's been so... They'll either want to avoid answering the question, or will immediately come out with excuses. You won't listen to it every other day? Well, it's now a time. And even if for some bizarre reason they happen, swear blind they have, you go, forgive me if I'm wrong, but we're on day 23, aren't we? Yeah? Didn't I tell you to listen to the disc once every other day for the next 28 days? Don't tell me it's not worked. 28 days ain't up yet. Always therefore. Onus on them. It's about giving them a sense of control, but also making them take responsibility. Because that is all it's about. So your CD will act as a confidant. It's also giving them an element of ritual and something tangible to take away in their hands, because what we've done is invisible. We talk to somebody, basically. Or they're giving them a disc. And essentially, that's it, your job's done. Congratulations, you're now technically more skilled than the majority of hypnotherapists currently working in England. You are. If you don't believe me, go and book a session under a fake name and find out for yourself. Now that's fine, what I call complete mind therapy in terms of smoking, weight loss, confidence issues, blah 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 blah. It's fine for anything and everything really. Much to my surprise, I personally wouldn't choose to deal with alcoholics or severe drug dependent people. I've worked with people who've been addicted to cocaine, but I used to be addicted to cocaine, so I have an understanding of how to get off that. Nothing to do with hypnosis, so it makes it easier for me to deal with people who've been addicted to cocaine. Nothing to do with this, albeit that I will still use these techniques. But I can also add in stuff and say things that the person goes, yeah, he knows where I'm coming from. However, people that have dealt with alcoholics and drug-dependent clients have said to me they've used, people who've been alcoholics have used this approach, using the exact script that's on that audio CD that you've all got, and the person has never touched another drop again. And it's documented through their doctors. I found it hard to believe till I'd seen the bloody evidence. But this person believed in it enough as the therapist to transmit that belief to their client, to create the environment so that everything else fell into place. Which ultimately is all it's about. So, FPC. That's phobia cure. You can still use CMT sessions for phobia cure. I have. Imagine yourself watching the TV screen when you used to be scared of spiders, get rid of it, destroy it, it's gone, see yourself in the future, seeing the spiders, really happy, laughing at it, not bothered. Of course you can, and it'll still work. And I know it works because if you go in Google and prove it to yourself, don't take my word for it, type in complete mind therapy practitioner, search Google worldwide, and see how many therapists there are that are advertising the complete mind therapy practitioners taught by me who use this technique for phobias. With the testimonials they've got, including if you go on YouTube and search for videos, you'll find people on TV shows all over Europe curing people of the phobias and other issues using my approach of CMT. It works. Prove it to yourself. Look. But the only reason it works is because of all these steps. Fundamentally, we could be telling them to slap themselves in the face with a piece of wet celery. And as long as you presented it in a context where they come to believe it will work and serious, then it will. So, the apparent fast phobia cure is, this is the classical NLP, the way they teach it, winky wanky, which isn't NLP anyway, because dissociative conditioning, which is what it is, i.e. disassociating from something, actually goes back to Pavlov, because as much as he did conditioning with the bell, he also did the opposite. So, that could be like the stage, that's a crap picture, don't they? That's a symptom. They're chairs, okay. That's the glass. And here's the projection unit. I'll talk you through it, basically. I'll say the words to you that I say to someone who comes to phobia cure. Okay? And it really doesn't matter what their phobia is. Because again, we're going to phrase it in such a manner where they can see on this screen whatever they want. That was what they were scared of. So we don't even need to know, so you can do it on an audience that wants. So, essentially goes something like this, okay, we know what the issue is, what you're scared of. If it's one-to-one, you can go, oh, scared of spiders, look at this picture. Ha ha ha, you're scared. Well, you don't do that. That's what you might be thinking inside. The point is, you ideally get them to confront that which they're scared of, where possible. Just ramp up the code in NLP, ramping up the emotion, so So they can go, ah, I don't like that picture, I don't like the spine. And you can go, well, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no problem whatsoever, 10 being the worst it ever was, where you're like sort of pulling your hair out, almost like suicide, the worst you could ever imagine it. How high up that scale is it right now as you're thinking about it? And they go, because you just confronted them with it close, 6, 7 or whatever, maybe 10, 11. Well, they give you a number that's higher. I'll explain this in a minute. Just to remind myself. And then at the end of the session, when you go to treatment, you can go, right, have a look at the picture of the spider. And they're laughing at it or whatever, and you go on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst it ever was in the past when you used to, remember it's all about, used to pull your hair out, almost suicidal, really upset, 0 being gone completely. How much lower down is it right now? And as they sat there laughing, they end up saying, say, 2 or 0 or whatever. And if the number's only a little bit lower, you could then improvise and do something like the object technique, which I'll teach you, so that the number comes down lower. And then in their head, logically, they go, well, I started off it as an end, which was really bad, and now I'm at a 1. Blimey, what a big change! It's worked. And the moment they believe it's worked, it has. And once they instill that in their head, job is done. Because a phobia as such is only an upside down pyramid. At some point in the past, for whatever reason, something scared them, or it doesn't matter what it was, but something emotional occurred, connected, and they decided to connect into this image, this trigger. And it really doesn't matter what the underlying root cause is. The point is that next time they've seen that trigger, the moment they saw it, they thought, oh dear, I'm going to end up feeling bad in the moment because I did last time. So the anticipation grows worse. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And each time that grows, so that years down the line, just seeing that trigger makes them go, ah! And it's what gets called a phobic reaction. If we can make this image trigger here no longer scary, no longer fearful, because fear, after all, is nothing more than an acronym for false evidence against reality. If we can blow this up in their mind, so that any time they think about it, see it or experience it, they laugh, for example. Laughter is the direct opposite emotion in the body to fear or stress, and it also has the direct opposite chemical reaction release in the body. Laughter makes you feel relaxed, fear or stress makes you feel tense. Like a fight or flight response. So if we say that phobia is nothing more than a fight or flight response reaction to a trigger, if we can make that trigger actually make them laugh and feel good, they're no longer scared. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. So we need to make them laugh about it, internally, externally, or both. And that's where we use the slightly altered, I say slightly altered, because most of this is based on the NLP phobia cure, which is based on all the techniques before it, but it's got an added bit to it, this, with the comedian at the end, which television life coaches, we can even speak and added to it, so credit where credit's due. And it goes something like this. Yeah, you say to the person, it doesn't matter what the issue is, you say, okay, what I'd like to do is close your eyes. It's up to you when you do it, not it's relevant, this is what it says. Close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. And I'd like you to imagine in your mind's eye that you're walking into a calm, safe and secure, okay, that's my terminology, cinema, okay? And as you walk into this cinema, you notice that it's empty, it's your own private cinema. And as you walk into that cinema, I'd like you to imagine that you walk down to the front and you find the best seat in the house. And you take a seat. And the film begins. And as the film begins, you realise, as that film starts, it's starting just before the moment of all the times in the past when you've encountered this thing that you were once scared of in the past. Once scared of in the past. Again, we're still inclined to leave it behind. And that's where the film's going to start. And when I say the film starts, I click my fingers like this. The film will start, and it's very quickly going to move forward. And you're going to encounter that used to scare you in the past. But you know that as you're watching it on the cinema screen, it won't bother you as it once did. because that's disassociation. And it's going to run through to the end very quickly to the point where you've now escaped that situation and it no longer bothers you, worries you, and concerns you because you can't safe and secure. 1, 2, 3. Now it's just before. And that's it. Now you see it. Well, you don't want to be there, and it's the end. See that in your mind? I nod your head when you've done it. And would it be fair to say, keeping your eyes tightly closed, but just not getting this true, would it be fair to say that you don't really want to go near that bothered you in the past, do you? Obviously, they're going to go, yes, that's true. Other than a point up there, treatment. But this is about getting a yes that again. Okay. Well, we want you to be calm, safe, and secure, fully in control. So all ties back to the same thing. So imagine in your mind's eye that it's almost as if you're floating out of your body. And you're floating back to the back of the cinema. And in your mind's eye, imagine that you end up in a projection unit, the control room of the cinema. And you know that you're safe there because you can put your hands forward onto the glass and you look down and it's as if you can see the image of the back of your own head as you look down at that person who was once scared in the past of X, Y, Z. But you're in control now in the control room. So I want you to flip the switch on that projector so that this time it's going to run backwards. Yes, that's right, this time I'm going to click my fingers. The film's going to run backwards, so you're going to start off after the event, where you calm, safe and secure. It's going to run backwards at lightning speed, like the film's going stupid with the funny voice going and really red lights, and it's going to go back right to the beginning before it ever happened, before this ever bothered you in the past. Sing metaphor, before this ever bothered you in the past, almost implying it's like factory reset mode, which was a metaphor I used with Marina this morning. It's like somebody's clicked the reset switch. So 1, 2, 3, you flip that switch and it's going backwards, you're at that thing that's going backwards, it's funny voicey, and it's going backwards, and the person will think, what the hell's he on about? But that's the point, you want them to smile a bit. And you're going back, we're going to do this again. Only this time, you're going to realise there's some funny music. Now ideally, in your consulting room, have the Benny Hill theme tune, you know, going If not, do it yourself, so we'll go, and it's backwards, going backwards now, and it's going backwards, going backwards, and you'll see them going, what the hell's going on here? And you're right back in the beginning before it ever happened, before it ever bothered you in any way, shape or form. Fantastic. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. We're going to do it one more time. Only this time it gets even funnier. We're going to start at the end of the film, we're going to run backwards, we've got all that silly music. But when we get to just at the beginning of the film, before it ever bothered you in the past, you're going to see your favourite comedian. Who's your favourite comedian? And ask them if it's a one-to-one. Get them to name the person. It's a group, obviously you let them decide in your own head. But you go, who's your favourite comedian? Don't matter who it is, you don't even need to know who they are, as long as they do. You know, if they say the name, whatever it is, just repeat it back to them. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, because when we get to the beginning, you're going to see them with the world's biggest, largest, most ridiculous Hoover vacuum cleaner. It's like 20 times the size of it. It's really ridiculous. And we'll tell you what's happening with that in a minute. So, it's at the end of the film, doesn't bother you. It's starting backwards now, and it's running backwards. Through it, and it's going somebody, and it's really ridiculous. And at the beginning, and you see your favourite comedian. It's Max Bygraves. Why you would pick it? He's not funny. But anyway, it's whoever at the beginning. And he's got the giant Hoover, and see them turn that Hoover on now, as they do. Oh, as they do, they're starting to suck all the colour out of that picture, and it's turning into black and white. And then suddenly they turn the Hoover up more and more and more. It's pulling the picture down to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and sucking the picture away till it's gone completely. And just let your comedian remove that. If you do notice how funny it is, you can have a little laugh inside with your favourite comedian. And you keep ramping this up until at some point they smile or giggle a bit, because it's the favourite comedian. They're just going to automatically think of things about that comedian that made them laugh. At which point we've then got the laughter, which is the opposite of fear, which you're now about to anchor to that visual image. Because they suck it away, gone completely, so that it's gone, as if you were never bothered about spiders or whatever it was. And you're saying that in the moment, so that that becomes that very moment, boom, and you connected it to an emotion of laughter. Because it was instilled with an emotion, and you're now just undoing it with an emotion. But you need to now give them some false logical evidence that it's worked. That moment, that second, you can bring them round, and you then go, right, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 10 being the worst it ever was in the past. 0 down here, gone completely. Don't bother you in any way. How much lower down would you say it is now? We'll give you a number. Hopefully it's going to be that low that you go to the person, oh great, have a look at this picture and you see them laughing, or if they were scared of this taking in one. But if you do that and there's any element of, and you'll see it for yourself, any element of, I'm not too sure about that, then we go on to the object technique. However, the majority of the time you'll find that in that moment, because the laughter releases serotonin into the bloodstream, and it makes you feel good. And in that moment, if you're laughing, you can't. It's the direct opposite. You can't have both things, fear and laughter. You can have a nervous laugh, yes, but that's a false laugh. What we're looking at is real. That is why we've asked them who their favourite comedian is. We've not suggested one to them. It's got to be something that's personal to them, so that they're in control. Does that all make sense? The idea in psychology is to disassociating it. They're also taking control. They're changing it. That's why it's called change work, by running it backwards. The modalities of it, as they call it, and sub-modalities, layers of it, as they call it in NLP, of like the colour or the sound, are being made ridiculous because it's running backwards and you've got funny music being anchored to it, and then the colour's being taken out so it becomes black and white, and it's being sucked away and gone completely. See all the metaphors coming in here? And that, you literally can take something with scared spiders and have them using the spider within 15 minutes. It's the technique that most people use when you see them on TV shows. It works. As long as you act as though you believe it will. Although the little convinced that is in there, which I'll show you with the object technique in a moment, is the 0 to 10 thing. Because the first time, when you want them to give you a big number, you want them to give you a number that's high up, probably higher than what it would be in reality if they were to analyse it. So at the end, however they look at it, they're going to give you a number that's lower, so that to them says there's been a change, so therefore it's worked. So the first time around, we've gone on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst it ever was. What I'm doing with my hands, worst it ever was, almost like pulling your hair out, really, really, really bad. How high up a number would you say it is the worst that's ever been? And I'm almost saying here, say 10, but non-verbally. I'm not going to say a higher number. Afterwards, I do the direct opposite and go, if 10 was here, the worst it ever was in the past when it used to bother you, and 0's down here, gone completely, you ready, command, gone completely, nothing whatsoever, how much lower is it right now? They're basically telling them to say a lower number, and the moment they do, oh wow, something's changed. Now if they give you a 0, job done. If they were scared of lifts and they give you a 0, come and take another lift, they'll be fine, prove it to them. Because that's the final bit of evidence. And once they've said that, they argue it. Because they've overruled that, they'll just laugh about it. If, however, this came back with, say, number 3, you might not want to take another lift yet. So you would use the object technique. Now, the object technique is just to remember the word change, the fact that this is change work. And what I would do is, I say to the client, okay, that's brilliant, you're down to a 2 or a 3. Obviously, I like the number of saying. Common sense comes in here as well. I say, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, you're not going to know how you know this, but you'll just know instinctively that somewhere within you, there's still a little tiny element of all the negative stuff from the past that we need to get rid of completely. So on the count of 3, I'm going to click my fingers. When I do, you'll just know where feels right for you. It might be your knee, it might be your leg, it might be your foot, it might be your arm, it might be your head, it might be your chest. But you'll just know that you can place your hand where all those final bits are negative. 1, 2, 3. And they might do there, they might do that, they might do... Doesn't matter. It's up to them. We're still giving them control here. Okay, that's brilliant. So you've touched your knee or you've touched your head, you say whatever they've done, you respond accordingly. Well, that's brilliant. So, We've now identified the area where those final things are to remove, so that you can move forward positively with your life. Now on the count of 3, if you knew, and it's going to sound really daft this, but if you knew, and you could tell there was an object in there, so this negative has to take some form. Now I don't know, in the past I've had people tell me it's like a rock, other people have said it's like a stone, other people have said it's like a little knife that's there. The people, I don't know, it's different for everyone. But if you could reach inside yourself at that point on your body that you've just touched, and pull it out on the count of 3. In fact, imagine doing that. On the count of 3, imagine pulling out whatever this negative object is. 1, 2, 3, now. And if they don't do it straight away, say physically move your hand, just keep your eyes closed. Imagine pulling out that object. You want to see them do it. Because that focus of attention arguably is the same as hypnosis, if you believe such a thing exists. And you say to them, I know it sounds really ridiculous, but you've got an object, only you know what it is at the moment. What would the object be? If you knew what it was, what would it be? Now they might say it's a square, a circle, it doesn't matter. For this example, this is about reacting to whatever they say. Okay? Well, let's say they said it's a square. But as you look at that square, what colour is it? So they may have touched their knee, and when we said remove the object, they may have said it's a square. And then I ask them, what colour is it? And they might say it's red. And I say, as you feel it, is it rough, smooth, sharp? What's it feel like? And they might say, slimy. Could be anything. And is it hard or soft or prickly? And they might go, it's sort of spongy. They might not, they might say exactly. The point is, they're going to give you an answer to these things. However daft, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. It's about getting this information. You have a piece of paper and a pen so you don't forget them. And then you go and you ask them, this will come as no surprise to you hopefully by now, for the direct opposite. In other words, if that's what they're associating to it being negative, we want it to be the opposite, which is positive and therefore no issue. So, I'd then say red. So this red square that's spongy and slimy that you've taken from your knee area, and I'm just paraphrasing all the information you've given there. If you're able to change that right now, what colour would you make? What colour would it need to be so that it couldn't bother you as it once did in the past? Whatever colour this sounds, it's clearly not going to be red.
Blue.
So let's just say it's blue. It really doesn't matter. The point is they're going to give you something that's different. And that's why we call it change work. So you say, now imagine in your mind's eye, if you could, would you use how would you do it? Would you use sticky back plastic? Would you use felt tip pens, crayons, paint? What would feel right for you to change the colour of this from red to blue? And they'll come up with something ridiculous. Fine. On the count of 3 then, imagine dunking it in a bucket of blue icicles, whatever ridiculous thing you've said. Tell me when you know in your mind's eye you can see that it's blue. And you can basically keep offering crap until they say, yeah, blue. Great. But unfortunately this square is exactly that. It's still a square, it's still spongy and slimy. What shape do you feel that it would have to be so that it didn't bother you as it once did in the past? They might say triangle, they might say circle. Let's just say triangle, it really doesn't matter. Say, oh, that's fantastic. So I want you to do, it doesn't matter how you imagine it, some people use tools in the mind's eye, some don't. So imagine moulding it into the shape of triangle. Now, a bit of common sense to use it. I've said moulding because they said spongy. But if they just said it was like concrete or something, they might have to say imagine chipping away at it, like carving. Bit of common sense, thinking anything. So you get them to imagine, and now you can see it's a triangle. So you've got that blue triangle, but it still feels a bit slimy and spongy. So how would it have to feel for you? So that it couldn't bother you, worry or concern you as it once did in the past. And they might say, hard and dry. Well, they're going to give you an answer that's different than those two. So you go, how do you feel you could do that? Would you dry it with a blowtorch? Would you, stick sandpaper on it? Would you coat it in cement? Give them some daft options, leave it, but in a way that feels right for you. You done that? Yeah, that's brilliant. So you've now got your nice, hard and dry blue triangle. Notice how much better that feels. If you look down on your hard, dry, blue triangle, that feels much better, doesn't it, than it did before? Get a yes, which is like confirmation. We need to put that back. So, on the count of three, when I set my fingers, place back your positively blue, hard, dry triangle back where it used to bother you in the past, realising that from this moment forward it is that blue, hard, dry triangle. Nothing can bother you as it once did. Place it back, and we're going through a ritual ultimately. A ritual that arguably has changed the modality and feeling, as they would call it in NLP, an emotional connection and triggers, but there's a belief to the ritual, and we put it back, so apparently we've not left them with a gap, we've just changed it to being positive, and then we use the 0 to 10 rubbish again, 10 being the worst it ever was, starting with the bad one, 0 being gone completely. How much lower it is now? What's the number? And they feel obliged to say whoa, which the moment they have is proof to them that something's changed. Better bloody have done, because you've used major metaphor of change during this, but that's all you've done, taking what they've said and changing it, and giving it back to them, to empower them and give them control. Or notice the second time, I didn't say how much lower is it that time, I said 10 up here, worst it ever was, 0 down there, gone completely. How much lower? It is now. It is now, rather than is it now. Switch the 2 words around, and we're practically telling them to say a lower number, but without them consciously realising it. And the moment they do, they become consciously aware that the number's lower, so therefore something's changed. So they come to believe that what you've done is going to work, and has worked, and therefore you have got, arguably, the cure. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So that makes sense. We can rub that off. We've got all of it. It still ties back to what we said this morning. Positive, negative, yin, yang, opposites. It all, however you dress it up, whatever name you give it, however you repackage it, oh, no, that's a bit on next. It all works for the same reason. Right, ab reactions I mentioned are covered in depth on the discs. Please do look at it. What ab reaction means is an abnormal reaction to the process, or an emotional reaction that seems a bit unexpected. In other words, someone suddenly bursting out in tears going, oh, life's terrible. Now, when this happens, and it will occasionally, it's a bit scary to you as the therapist. Trust me, it is the first time it happens. Just be aware that essentially speaking, it's a very therapeutic, cathartic process for the individual, because they've got a lot of bottled up emotion and they just feel that they can let it out in front of you, because you're the perceived professional. So you must react to all this happens all the time. Otherwise they're going to get panicky like, he's not encountered this before. That's the most important thing, okay? And you don't want to prolong it there. Yes, it's nice to let them get some emotions out, but you've got to look like you like them and care. So you go, okay, that's fine, we've just touched on some emotions, but I'm going to count from 1 to 3, or rather 3 down to 1, because we take them back to relaxation. From 3 down to 1, on the count of 1, I just want you to allow your mind to wander, leave those images of the past behind, or whatever used to bother you or was bothering you right there, and think of a time in your life when you felt fantastic, on top of the world, full of energy, proud and in control. 3, 2, 1, and just, what is it, where are you now, are you on holiday, is it family time? Get to answer a question, that will distract the mind, and get you back on course to do the session. There's more in depth on health and safety and stuff in the disc, but that's ultimately the key thing you've got to be aware of. Okay? And then as for what is your key to getting started, well, if you choose to, your key can be my script. I started off with a script years ago and just read it and put it back in the case. I then realised that there were perhaps some of the psychological tricks I could be using, and perhaps sense and structure in terms of saying what used to bother you in the past, implying that it had gone. Notice how good it now feels, implying it's already happened, future pacing. So I sat down and wrote out a script where every single word was calculated, so it always said used to be in the past, or notice how good it is in the future. And worded so that it always left the client to fill in the blanks in a way that feels right for them. So I could literally record that audio CD that you've got, audio CMT, so that I could literally just sell that on the internet or post it out to people and say, listen to that once every day for the next 28 days and you'll be cured. And offer a money back guarantee in confidence that, well, most people never ask for money back anyway, in sales and marketing, but that I would get testimonials back saying it would work. It would still be a ritual, and arguably all the psychology would be there. But you can listen to that to learn the voice tones, while reading the script to learn the structure, which is the TV set, get rid of the past, rules of confidence, willpower, self-esteem, magic mirror, ring of confidence, and a few direct suggestions. As for putting people under, close your eyes, just as long as you keep your eyes tightly closed. Arguably that's hypnosis. If not, if you want to shock them, if you feel the need, and some therapists do it, you feel the need that you want them to look like a rag doll out of it, like stage hypnotists do, fine. Then I will upsell you. Come on one of my rapid induction calls. But there's no need for it in therapy, because you've got no audience to impress. It's only for your own ego if you were doing that. There's no need to. You may as well just say, close your eyes and keep them closed. And I can honestly say, as you'll see on those DVDs, and hopefully you saw this morning, I can honestly say that since about the age of 17 and a half, because from the age of 14 I was just using the scripts from this course that I got, by the time I was about 17 and a half, certainly by the time I was 18, I'd written the script we've got on that audio CD. So I've most definitely been using that now for over 18 years. And that is exactly what I do for every therapy client. You don't need to do anything else because it's structured so that they fill in the blanks. The only thing that will be different is that of adding to it the fast phobia cure if it's a phobia. Anything else that pays the bills, weight loss, stopping smoking, nail biting, driving test nerves, exam nerves, getting to sleep, all the common stuff, which is where the money's at, you don't need to know anything else. So don't go wasting money on courses. Don't fall into the trap of thinking there's a holy grail. I've spent thousands on the courses, I promise you. If you don't believe me, go on facebook.com/AlexTheHypnotist or facebook.com/Jonathan.Royle. Join me on Facebook, look through my photo albums where there's scanned in copies of all the certificates I've got from all the courses I've done over the years, with some of the so-called biggest names and experts in the world. Do the math yourself, how much money I've spent, and I promise you this, I didn't learn anything of value really other than this. And what I did learn therefore was invaluable to you if you choose to take it on board, and that is, there's nothing else to know. The only thing you would be wise to look at, other than we've talked about today, which is on the disc I've given you anyway, so you don't need to spend any more money, is look a bit more closely at ab reactions and the health and safety elements, which are on the course notes that I've given you. In terms of the actual techniques, and obviously make sure you've got proper insurance and stuff, but the contacts for that are on the disc I've given you. And using the certificates you've got on those discs, the insurance company details that I've given you on the disc, they will insure you for £10 million public liability and professional indemnity insurance. As a hypnotherapist, now a complete mind therapist, mind coach, call yourself what you will, for £55 a year. It's how we can break the bank. And that's actually cheaper than you can get if you join one of these winky-wanky boys clubs that try and make themselves out to be special. You know, if you pay our 80 quid yearly fee, we'll get you a discount on your insurance. Will you? Well, you might get it for the same price, 55 quid, as I've negotiated it for members of the Association of Complete Mind Therapists, of which you are now members, because you've got your certifications out to print out. But you'll just pay out 80 quid a year to be a member of a club that's not going to spend that 80 quid on advertising and get some clients. Because it's all about actually going and doing it. Oh, one other technique. Just one of them. This is the one that I have been known to use this on television or radio, where you're not allowed, I did say earlier I'd show you something in case you're not allowed to apparently hypnotise. Well, that changed things a bit about the object. You could always use that. In NLP, they call it a pattern interrupt. In other words, it's a mind trick to distract the mind. Ultimately, we're still going to use the scale of 0 to 10 points. So imagine we're on a radio show. And I've done this in pubs, in fact. If you go on YouTube, you'll see, type in Jonathan Royle, pain control. One of the videos that comes up is me in a pub, caught on a mobile phone camera. Someone who said, oh, I'm in severe pain, I've got long-term arthritis, and I do this, what I'm about to say on them. And they start off saying the pain's like an 11 out of 10. And at the end of it, they go, it's a 2 out of 10. I can't believe it, wow. At which point I go, well, I'm going to leave it there because pain is a signal that you need to see your doctor. Well, is that better for you? And they're like, yeah, well, bloody hell, I can manage with that, right? And all I did to them was this. And the video's on YouTube if you search for it. In fact, I believe it's probably on one of those discs as well. The copy of what's on YouTube. Oh, it's very grainy footage, I will warn you, because it's on the mobile. And that was, I said to them, okay, close your eyes. Sound familiar. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just imagine the point in your body where that pain was when it's been at its worst in the past, implying it isn't anymore. And now open your eyes. And that justifies it for radio that you're not hypnotising. Take your right hand, or if the left-handed left hand, take your 2 forefingers like this. Just tap yourself on the forehead, just between your eyes, about there, 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. And then tap yourself here, just below the belly button, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then on your right hand shoulder area, 1, 2, 3. On your left hand shoulder area, 1, 2, 3. Then on your top lip, 1, 2, 3. And then hum happy birthday. I'll do it with you so you don't feel daft. So here we go, start me dead. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to do that twice more, okay, but a bit quicker. So with me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And you've got them doing this. And then you do it the 3rd time. Then you immediately go, just close your eyes, allow all those changes to take place, implying that something is take place. Open your eyes, and on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst it ever was in the past, 0 going completely. How much lower down is it right now? Now their brain, consciously, arguably, is still thinking, what the hell is all this tapping about? They've been focused on this, it's a mind distraction, so arguably you have hypnotised them, even though it doesn't look like or seem like it. And they will say a lower number. When they do, they come to believe it. It's basically, however, what they call in NLP a pattern interrupt. It doesn't matter what, and that's all emotional freedom technique, thought field therapy, or anything is. There's not all this crap about what. Their problem means you need to tap here and then there. Bollocks. I don't give a toss what the problem is. I always get them to tap 3 times here, 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 then I'm happy birthday. And I get them to do it 3 times. Always. It doesn't matter what the problem is. I'll tell them, I'll ask them, what's your problem? Ah, okay. In that case, you need to tap here. And I'll look as well I'm thinking and deciding where they need to do it. So that if they have come across something like EFT or TFT, they'll think, I was working out which algorithm, which process to use for this particular issue. So it's incredible to them. But in truth, whatever they said, I get them to tap 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, on happy birthday, and I do it 3 times. Power of 3 can condition response. I do that because it's easy for me to remember. So I can look congruent and credible and confident doing it. It's a ritual. It's everything we spoke about all day, really. The way I remember it is this. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, watch. Can't believe they pay me to do this. And yes, they are. It's my birthday. And that's how I remember what order to do it.
You never accidentally say it out loud. The old good mistake.
But that's how I remember it, and it gives me a sense of a smile when I'm doing it. But the number always goes down. And because the number's gone down, they believe a change has occurred. And therefore, because you've got a ritual, and I've kept a straight face during it, you know, I'm not going, that's not going to have as good an effect. I'm looking like this is a ritual, it's for a reason, because it works. I'm attaching value and belief to it, so therefore they can more easily attach value and belief. And that belief therefore changes the belief they had previously and distracts their mind from the pain. Because they dwelled on it, in that example, the pain. So they've actually made it worse than it really is because they're dwelling on it. So just distracting the mind off it for a while, when they then try to rate it afterwards, even if it hadn't changed, it would seem like it had. And the moment they believe it has, because of a different number, their mind then's focused on it getting lower. So they're now fulfilling their own prophecy of it getting lower rather than making it worse or staying there. That makes sense? You get more of what you focus on in life. Any questions? I can't.
In terms of actual fee and time spent on different things, like you mentioned, the phasphobia cures, they can obviously be done in 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I personally, if it's for a TV show or something, otherwise what I always do, I always use the CMT session, as per that list. It's just with the phobia, where on the script it says direct suggestions near the end, I chuck in the phobia cure as well.
Okay.
So a session is always
an hour,
just under an hour to just over an hour, because people are conditioned to solicitors and all that charging €5 or part thereof. Consultants. Oh yeah, because you're a complete mind therapy consultant, not practitioner. The word consultant implies like a really good medical doctor. Without claiming to be medical, because claiming to be medical is against Advertising Standards Authority and Trade Descriptions Act. You can create the mental image in the client's brain that you are with the careful use of words. So,
would you advise charging different rates for different services?
Get the maximum amount of money you can from the client.
Okay.
If they don't, if it doesn't, you know, if it's